It's your Dockmaster Michael Atilano, and you are listening to the Starboard. You've climbed onto the Starboard with your Dockmaster Michael Atilano, where we look at the artists and the stories behind their music. And on this episode, we have a very special guest, the legendary Gary Myrick, who's here to talk about his new album, Forever, Adventures in 12-String, and to give us a little bit of insight and stories behind the recording of that album. Welcome to the show, Gary.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
So tell us about your new album, Forever, Adventures in 12-String.
So Forever is really the short title when you don't want to say the whole thing. Forever, Adventures in 12-String is what it really is. I've been wanting to make a 12-string acoustic album for a long time. A lot of guitar players have a hard time with 12 strings because it's hard. You know, it's not easy because you have 12 strings. So your fingers better be strong if you want to pull this off. And if you really want to express yourself, you've got to be strong. And so I felt like there was kind of a missing guitar new album out there. And no one was really utilizing the kind of old style 12-string blues of, say, guys like Leadbelly, you know, from the 1930s and other things too. Of course, I do my own thing. It was something that I could do and have wanted to do that no one else is doing, that we all need. We all need some beautiful 12-string and some blues 12-string and some new songs. So the pandemic really also inspired it because I thought, well, I can't play any gigs, no shows. Musicians all stopped dead in their tracks. You know, we all went, wait, we can't go out. We can't go play. The audience can't come. So I went, well, what do you want to do, Gary? Okay, well, let's make an album. Let's make an album. And I did every single thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to make an analog album, not a digital album, analog. And that means going to 2-inch tape, just like it was. Because the sound of vinyl, we have all finally realized, is the best sound. That's all there is to it. Everybody you talk to, everybody agrees vinyl sounds best. And we miss it. And I miss it. You know, I've made a lot of vinyl records. Thank the Lord. You know, I'm so happy that I have made a lot of vinyl records and I know exactly how the setup is. But I also contacted a super expert named Charlie Bolus here in town in Los Angeles. And he is a super genius of building studios. He's built studios from some of the biggest people on the planet, biggest musicians, from George Harrison to the ELO guy. And, you know, I mean, the list is insane. And so I called him up and I said, Charlie, I need to make a new album and I want to do it analog. I need a studio that has a vintage board, like a Trident board or some of the older boards that really are good. And there's a microphone that I'm looking for. And I bet you know what it is. And it's the type of microphone that they used at the Grand Ole Opry and at the Blue Note in New York, probably from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even into the 70s. It's a microphone that I could really capture the sound of my acoustic 12-string and my square neck slide guitar, dobro. So that I also could sing with. I wanted to sing and play. It sounds so simple, but yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Because the type of thing I wanted to do I needed the guitar to be with me. I didn't want to do an overdub of the vocal. I need to play and sing because there's certain things that I'm doing. I even hit the guitar for drum breaks, hit the wood. And so I'm utilizing my guitar as a percussion instrument from time to time. Some songs, not everything. I want to use my guitar to the maximum, even though it's totally acoustic. Also, when I solo, I want to be able to lean into the microphone so I can kind of mix it as I'm going. So if I want to lean in for certain intimate things or guitar things or vocal things, what is that microphone, Charlie? And he goes, oh yeah, that's a ribbon mic. And I said, wow, fantastic, a ribbon mic. He gave me a list, and I said, do you know any studios here in town that have all the vintage gear and that want to do that? And he said, yes, I do. So that was very helpful to get me started. I called the guy up. He was also friends with Charlie, and his name is Chuck K. He had a studio over in Sunland. So I go over there, I see the studio, we talk about it a little bit, and then I go in there like 2 days later, and I just start recording my songs. I already had my songs figured out, everything I wanted to do. I was able to record the whole album and mix it and master it in a week, which I've never done before. Because I was singing and playing at the same time, I would do takes at the maximum. I would do 4 takes. Usually it was 2 takes, maybe 3, but 4 maximum. After that, I don't want to keep taking a million takes. It's ridiculous. It's not good for the creative process. And so you kind of backslide after a certain amount of time. You have to be fresh and free and don't think too hard, play, say, do a song, do a couple of takes, 3 takes, whatever. And I'd go, that's the one. Or if it wasn't there, I'd do it again, which didn't happen much, but did happen maybe a couple of times. And then I went, all right, we got the album picked. Now we know which takes are what. And then I take everything and download it, which was all digital recording, 100%. But I needed to be able to master it and do a few little mixing things. So I put it into Pro Tools. The analog sound of vinyl has been captured already. It's on tape, real tape, not digital. Just like it was done in the 1930s, the 40s, 50s. Some of my favorite records are made like that. That's another reason I did it that way. Some of the best sounding records are made with just a couple of microphones, maybe 3, maybe 1, just like I did. Some of my favorite blues records are 1 microphone. You think Robert Johnson had a bunch of microphones? No, it was 1 microphone, dude. I'm sorry. It's 1 album he made. I mean, that's the way to capture certain kinds of music. So it's a way of stepping backwards to step forward. So anyhow, I work on that in a digital studio with a great engineer, Matt Gruen, who is really good here in town, has his own studio. I went to his studio. We had already downloaded everything. And a little over a week, I'm done. I've got a finished record that I'm really happy with, that I think, this is my 9th solo album. I think it's the best sounding record I've ever made. That's maybe debatable, but to me, it's the best, truest, most honest sound I've ever gotten. So I'm a happy guy. And then I start making my album cover and stuff like that. Well, first of all, we put it in sequence. So I pick my sequence that I really want. And then I start making the album cover, and I can make the whole album cover. I made all the album cover, nearly all the photographs are on iPhone 11. And I've done all my album covers since 1980. So this is normal for me to make my own album cover or work with an art department. See, in the old days, I would work with the art department and I'd say, okay, here's some drawings, here's this, here's that.
You really just answered my question too, because you got to remember, it's like to see stuff back then to where it is now. I mean, I've grown up almost in the all digital era. And when you said going into the art department, I'm like, oh my gosh, you have the art department on your phone.
My phone is my art department, and I don't have to ask anything. Now you can buy it on all the download websites from Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, on down the list. I mean, it's everywhere. So if you're looking for it, you can find it. It's there, but it's a download. So next, I'll be making CDs, and I've got a company that's going to make them for me, and so that'll be probably the next month and a half, something like that.
Can I tell you real quick? Like, dude, you should probably do a couple of vinyls with that, because right now, vinyl's hot, man.
First of all, it's very collectible. Also, a lot of people want to collect the new vinyl, and I totally understand. It's just expensive as hell to make them. A lot of people are asking for CDs, so I go, okay, I'll start with digital downloads. The turnaround time is incredible with digital releases. Vinyl's coming. There's even cassettes.
It's just like business, right? I have shirts, but you know what? I'm not going to make a bunch of shirts I'm not going to sell. It's not that people don't want to buy them, but we're in a different market now too, where people, you know what? They don't even want to press a button anymore to listen to your song, much less, spend money.
Yeah, sure. There's all sorts of things happening, in the world of bringing music to the forefront. And I'm all for it. Let's go for it. But I do want to get paid.
As you should.
I have to get paid, or I can't, make my music properly if I don't get paid. So I got to get paid, and I'm getting paid. I still have my royalties come in. Everything's cool. I'm not freaked out about it all. A lot of people freak out. A lot of like older cats, like the Eagles and some of those guys are, they freak out. I don't know why. They're worth billions of dollars. I think Jackson Brown won. Really, seriously.
Wow.
Well, whatever, come on, guys, don't complain so much. Just make your music and figure it out. It'll work out. Come on. My whole life has been to love and be as much of an artist as I feel I can be, and be truthful and do the best work I can do and create the best stuff I can create.
Now, I know you took a picture in Robert Johnson's studio or his room that he recorded in. What was that like?
Well, I'm from Dallas, Texas, born and raised, a fifth generation Texan. And I've been living in California a long time because I'm a liberal Texan. I'm the most liberal guy you'll ever meet. So I like to say that because it gets some people's goat. And anyhow, I was down in my hometown and I got a call from my brother. He said, there's this guy that works as a curator at the building where Robert Johnson recorded his one album. He recorded in Dallas. The majority of it was in Dallas, and then some of it was in San Antonio. He said, they want you to come down and check the place out. And I said, well, let's go. So I go downtown to the original building, which probably from the 20s. He recorded there in 1936, I believe. So I go in, I go up to about the third or fourth floor. It's been kind of gutted in a good way. Like it's all empty. It's just empty. There's nothing in there, but it's got a really great vibe and it looks great to me. Also downstairs is kind of a scary homeless row. And that kind of upset me in a way for them. I mean, I could see the whole thing right there. And then the Robert Johnson Studios right there. And the building is owned by a church. It's a historic spot. We had come there also. I have a slide guitar version of Robert Johnson's Love in Vain. My brother wants to film me playing Love in Vain in his space where he recorded his album. And I said, yeah, let's do it. We can do it quick. It's no big deal. So we set up just a microphone, a little amp, a beer, and he videos me singing the song live in the room, which is on YouTube now and has been for a while. So that's where that picture came from.
I followed her to the station with a suitcase in my hand. Followed her to the station with a suitcase in my hand. It's hard to tell when your love's in vain. All my love's in vain. The train pulled up to the station.
My brother took that picture. He's a photographer, filmmaker, documentary guy, and down in Dallas. And he took that photograph, and we all went. Everybody started going grooving on that photograph. And I said, well, the real cool thing is that's Robert Johnson's recording space, the original space. That's going to be on my back cover, with all the credits and things like that. So
what are they using it for now? It's just an empty room?
It's an empty room. It's an empty room, and it needs to be really sorted out as a full-blown museum. That's where it's going. And it will go there. It's just that they're moving at some sort of snail's pace. And I don't know why, because it's really a special place and needs to be, it's historic and needs to be preserved properly. It's preserved. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. And they've, fixed broken windows and things like that. It's nice. It feels nice, but it's completely empty and completely gutted. But everything's original except, some windows that were probably broken.
When you say about the area surrounding it being homeless, I think there's a couple of studios in LA like that. There's where Morrison Hotel is in downtown LA. I think that's in Skid Row, and it's the Morrison Hotel, the picture where they took at the Morrison Hotel. And then if you go to Selma and Sunset, Marvin Gaye's old studio's there, and it's just tucked away, locked up. No one knows it's there. But if you look and his star's right there, it's just a little strip. It's crazy.
Tons of it. It's kind of disturbing, but it is what it is. So,
and that's our music history. People like you that lived it, and people like me that I live it in a different light. And it's like to see that. I mean, what are we gonna do? Whip up $1 million and turn them into? I mean, that
right? Turn it into a sideshow. No, that we want to preserve it just historically and make it, very respectful and, certain things. But the Robert Johnson thing, that's a big deal. Texas is way aware of the Robert Johnson legacy. And, nobody's going to mess with that building. And the church knows, and they get it, and they're nice, and they care. And they're trying to take care of those homeless people is what they're really trying to do. They're trying to help them, which is really their job. And it happens to be that they own the Robert Johnson building. I was lucky enough to be asked to come in there. I couldn't believe it. I thought, wow, I can't believe somebody's asking me to come down here. And then I thought about it, and I love the whole concept of an ode, O-D-E. The word ode comes from Greek history, like, long time ago. That's an ode of something special, a song that was lyrically referred to something special or someone special. That's what an ode is. I said, Robert Johnson needs a damn ode. And I'm just the guy to write it. And I'm going to write it. And then it came out so well that I kind of lost my mind and went, oh man, this needs to go on my record. So we said, no, we'll leave the record just as it is. We'll release Ode to Robert Johnson as a single. When I release the CD and vinyl and maybe cassettes, who knows? But the digital downloads, you could get Ode to Robert Johnson separately from the album.
Well, he was poisoned at the age of 27 by a jealous man who sent his soul to heaven. No man was arrested, no one was accused. He dug his own grave, king of the Delta blues. 100 years later, he still wears the crown. Robert Johnson's spirit comes around. Oh, Robert Johnson's spirit comes around.
In terms and ranks of awesome places that you've been to as a musician and stuff, the Robert Johnson Building, how does that rank on Gary Myrick's timeline of epic places that you've been and recorded at?
Since it's in my hometown, it feels kind of normal in a way, but I didn't know about the Robert Johnson Building until, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe 15. I was aware of Robert Johnson's music in the early 70s when I first got turned on to the album. And I went, oh, wow. And I started really, I've really gotten into country blues and things like that. I love all that stuff, especially the old stuff from the 30s and 40s. So that is definitely an epic spot. But I've been really lucky to play with all sorts of characters, from guys from The Clash and Jackson Browne and Sex Pistol guys and, all sorts of characters through time. So it's taken me around the world, and I lived in England for a couple of years. So I was able to go to some really special spots like Rome. I was amazed. I'm playing in Rome. Wow, this is incredible. I went to Japan 3 times and played on every island in Japan, which that was mind blowing because Japan is totally different than America. That was a great experience. And I recorded an album with Paul Simonon and Nigel Dixon from Havana 3 a.m. Made our album in Tokyo. We had signed with a Japanese label, and then we were able to own the masters and license them in America and England and everywhere else. Being in Japan and playing all those places was incredible, but playing in Rome was incredible. But the Robert Johnson Building is definitely up there with the historic spots. It's probably the most historic spot that I've been to that I could really go, wow. All of that's related in some way to my new album. And of course, the new single, it's Ode to Robert Johnson. It's his story in a song. I think it's one of the better things I've written in a long time. I'm real pleased with it. I have a little label called Sound of Vinyl Records. And so that's the label it's on.
Everything that you've done, every album is completely different than the next. So I love this form of your music. It's so different than anything that you've released in the past. And it's almost like you're a completely different artist.
Every artist on the planet, a painter, actor, filmmaker, musician, I don't care what kind of artist, must continue to grow. And I'm not a different artist. I'm exactly the same artist that I've always been. My songs have a lyrical thing that is kind of always the same. It just grows. I'm just older and hopefully a bit wiser, maybe. I think I'm a better singer and better guitar player than I was 20 years ago. I think I've just grown. Now I want to play it live as soon as everything's safe enough. I'm not stopping playing my old stuff. I'm going to play all my old stuff too, electric. I'm going to also do this new record on acoustic 12-string and acoustic slide square neck dobro. I do one song on the album that is an actual another person. It's called Gene Vincent, and I wrote it with Paul Simonon and Nigel Dixon, who has passed away.
Yeah, blue Gene Vincent, don't say maybe. Bebop-a-lula, the fans went crazy. Rock and roll dream, wild and mean and so true.
I recorded that also, but that's really all slide guitar. I was told that I made the top 100 of K-Rock's favorite tracks.
She talks in stereo. So, and that's 1980, that's like 20, 30 years ago.
She talks in stereo. She sounds so good to me. She talks in stereo. She talks in stereo. She sounds so good to me. She talks in stereo. Yeah.
1979 to 1981, the power, rock and roll, the rock. No, I'm not talking new wave synth. I'm talking yours still had a little bit, just a hint of synth, but that's what made it great.
A lot of punk in it. Ever since the world began, come on. Living Disaster, that stuff had a punk edge by a good songwriter. That's the way I look.
Let's go walking the night. Let's go say anything I want to. Let's put a face on the night. In front of the world, you're a living disaster. Let's go walking tonight. Let's go talking tonight. Let's go walking tonight. In the face of the world, you're a living disaster.
I hate to say that. I don't want to sound like I'm full of myself.
What's the Stevie Ray Vaughan story, by the way?
Oh, well, that's a wild one. I was playing in a band that I started in Dallas, and I was playing the weirdest club downtown called The Cellar. And it was famous for its seediness, and every bouncer there had a gun on. Oh, this is Texas back in the early 70s. Not safe. And I'm dressed like I live in England, and my hair's super long. And Johnny Carroll, the rockabilly artist from the 50s, is the manager. If you look him up, Google Johnny Carroll, you'll see who that guy is. So Johnny Carroll hires me to play there. I go and audition with my band. We do all original music that I wrote. And I'm the singer and the guitar player, and I have a rhythm guitar player who has passed on now, and drummer Mark Hamilton, and the guitar player that passed on was Mark Stimson, and then a great bass player who's passed on named Buck Ballard. That was a band called Gary Myrick and Slip of the Wrist. I'm in there and I'm playing, 5 nights a week, doing all original material in Dallas, Texas in the early 70s. Amazing. Because everybody was doing covers. And I was doing my own thing because I knew from the beginning that's all I wanted to do. A guy walks in. He was the drummer originally for the Johnny Winter Trio. His name was Uncle John Turner. And a super blues guy, too, who knew his blues. Great drummer. He walks up to me. He goes, "Look, I got this guitar player I'm going to get rid of. And I wondered if you'd come down to Austin and play with our band." And I knew that they were making the most money of any band in Austin. They were the biggest band in Austin. And so they fired Stevie Ray. In his book, in his biography, it didn't say he was fired, but he was. He was fired. And, I don't know why. Maybe he was on drugs. I don't know. I don't know what he was doing. But they fired him. Nobody knew who he was. He hadn't made any record yet, and neither had I. So I took Stevie Ray's place, and Crackerjack was the name of the band. And then he and I were both on the same label, which was Epic Records. And we played some gigs together out in the Midwest. And, he was a sweetheart. He came over to the hotel room. We hung out. And he was just a nice, good Texan, great guitar player, good to hang out with. We were connected on a few levels. I think they, mentioned me in his books, and which is very nice, and I appreciate. And it looks great on the resume, So that's it.
Gary, I'd like to thank you for joining me here on the Starboard. I am your Dockmaster Michael Atilano, and to find out more information on Gary Myrick and his new album Forever Adventures in 12th Street, check out Gary Myrick Official on Facebook, and also check out The Sound of Vinyl as well. You've been listening to the Starboard with Dockmaster Michael Atilano. To find out more about the Starboard podcast, look me up on Facebook. That's Dockmaster Mike on Facebook, and there you can find links to our guest and to our past podcast episodes.